Like every other professional dancer in the world that I know, I have had times when I have broken up with my ballroom dance teachers. And so I'm going to share some of those personal stories today. And hey guys, before I dive in, if you have broken up with a teacher, I would be super interested to hear your story because I am but one dancer. And there are a bajillion reasons that you could do this. So I'm curious to hear the reason why, kind of what they did wrong. And then B, how you went about that process of hopefully peacefully parting ways. Okay, so first of all, the first teacher I ever had, I broke up with because they did not specialize in the style that I knew I wanted to compete in. They were a jack of all trades, not a bad teacher, certainly a very experienced long-term teacher. But even that early on in my competitive career, as soon as I started, I could see that the competitors who were growing the fastest and doing the best, showing the best on the comp floor, were taken with coaches that at one point had competed in that particular style and kind of specialized in it. Granted, almost every teacher can teach everything, but in my experience, an observation, the really elite ones that are training those kind of better people are specializing. And so, hey, I wanted to get my best results that I could. And so I asked to meet with him privately. I probably even took him out to Starbucks or something. I can't remember now. This was a lifetime ago. But I explained, you know what? I adore you. I appreciate you. You haven't put this passion for dance inside of me. You've brought me so far. I genuinely appreciate you, and I feel horrible about doing this, but I really want to get as far as I can, as fast as I am in competition. And from what I've seen, it seems like the competitors I'm seeing really shoot to the top are taking with pros that are a little bit more accomplished in that particular style. And you know what, guys? He was very gracious, very kind. We remained friends, and he was so supportive of me and my career until the day he passed away. So loved him as a person, great teacher, very, I'll say, peaceful breakup, and I don't really know a better term than breakup. And so that was kind of my first experience. Okay, number two, my next teacher did absolutely bring me farther along in my career. So they had competed in the Pro Smooth, which is more similar to standard, okay, than Latin. But so they did get me farther than that first teacher did. And at that time, there was no one else in my town that was actually had true international standard experience on the comp floor as a pro. So, kind of in that growing process, I started traveling out of state for higher level coaching. So first, I just started driving up to Seattle each week, in addition to taking my regularly scheduled lessons at home. As you do know, I do feel it's in your best interest to have a home coach, even if they're not like the top level, just to be even just a referee in your practices and kind of make sure you're on the right general path. Okay. So anyway, started flying after I kind of graduated past those Seattle teachers and was like, you know what, I want even better. And I noticed that all of the championship level finalists and semifinalists at nationals were coming from a certain area of the country. And I figured out very quickly who their coaches were. And I was like, I got to take with them. So I started flying to them. In addition to still taking with this person at home who definitely a trained dancer, competent teacher, experienced teacher, but they had competed in American Smooth. But increasingly, every time I flew out and took lessons, and I wouldn't go and just take a couple lessons, guys. I would pig pile 8 to 10 privates a day. I would do it for 7 to 10 days straight, so I would come back, info loaded. But with time, the better I got, increasingly found contradictions between what this teacher was teaching and what these other teachers were teaching. And I'm not talking about just like different ways to approach things. I mean, truly often combative techniques. And then we would somewhat mildly, gently assert ourselves in the lesson. Well, this is what these people taught. This other coach would like, no, it's this way. This is the way. This person we were already the best standard dancers by far this coach had ever created. So already I'm like, well, okay, have we capped his potential? I don't know. But when he started arguing with us about what I knew 100% to be top level information that would get me to the top, I just thought, as a competitor, I want the maximum value for my time and money. I have only so many hours a day I can dance. I have only so much money I can put in a dance. So at that point, my partner and I talked obviously outside of the lesson. We're like, we kind of need to part ways. And so what we did was same sort of thing. Met with the coach privately, in person, and just explained, as competitors, it's become increasingly challenging for us, when we share with you what we have learned. And so much of it is with time, you seem to be disagreeing with more and more and more and more. And so we just kind of need to pick a path and roll with it. And because these people are producing all of the country's finalists and semifinalists, we're going to roll in that direction. And, we definitely appreciate everything you've done, and you've come a long way. And so again, he handled it with great grace and was like, hey, I wish you the best of luck. I totally understand. I think you're doing the right thing. Hope that works for you. If it doesn't work out, come back to me, etc. So that was a good, again, I use the term breakup very liberally. I don't know how else to use that term. Okay. Third teacher. Okay, now this one did not end so well, folks. And it should have been a warning sign to me right out of the chute, when in that very first lesson, they tried to sell me in this 10 lesson discount package. And friends, I got news for you. I have never, ever, 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 ever once in my life taken from a high level coach who's a trained dancer creating high level competitors that offers you some sort of bulk discount. That is code speak for, I need to rope you into some lessons so you keep showing up even if my instruction sucks. Or I'm totally desperate for lessons and I'm not fully booked. Either way, I should have been a warning sign. Set aside my primary coaches who at that time were second in the world, warning me, that lady can't dance her way out of a paper bag. I don't care what she says. But anyway, I was stupid and arrogant and signed up for that 10 lesson package thinking, yeah, I'm going to get home coaching. That's awesome. Oh my gosh. It was even worse than the previous teacher. Totally tried to undo everything that we had been given by this really elite level couple that had really catapulted us to the top of all the local comps, including even the nearest IDSF, like international ranking competition. Clearly we were on the right path. And I just thought, oh, this is a nightmare. I'm driving clear to the other town for lessons that are hurting my dancing. And so I regret this to this day, friends. I did not say anything to this teacher. I just never showed up for the rest of the package. And I got to tell you guys, I paid through the nose for the rest of my comp crew because this person, they're retired now. No one knows who they now are. But yeah, they punished me for the rest of my entire rest of my dance career and my comp marks. And hindsight 2020 and being a little more mature now, I definitely should have met with this person too and been like, it's just not working. And here's why. And probably even before we had that conversation, I probably should have said, hey, I just want to let you know, this has not really been complimentary to our coaching. And so if this we don't find in the future that this, turns into a thing that is helping propel us on the path that these other people have put us on, we're probably gonna, not stop taking lessons with you. But you know what? Hindsight's 2020. Okay, so I do have more to talk about on this topic, but again, I've gone over my 10-minute mark, guys. I apologize. So hey, if you've had a breakup story, I would be really interested to hear why. What happened? Because I have another one for you. That's in my experience, totally different reason that I was like, this is not working. So thanks so much for joining me today. I look forward to looking at you, wishing you a happy good morning dancing day tomorrow, 7 a.m. my time. Happy dancing, guys. Bye.